Circling the drain, avoiding therapy, blowouts, dropouts, and misalliances. ISTDP is well known for directly confronting treatment-impeding defenses head-on. Even in the traditional graded format, therapists are often encouraged to work up to the patient's affect tolerance threshold before easing off. This approach is powerful and often highly effective. However, it is also well known anecdotally that many ISTDP therapists encounter a fair share of misalliances, dropouts, and sometimes even blowouts. This is particularly true for therapists who are just starting out and have yet to find their ISTDP sea legs. I can attest to this from personal experience earlier in my career. Today, I want to talk about a technique that I sometimes use during the graded format that I call circling the drain. I doubt that there is anything original or unique about it, and I suspect many therapists have some variation of it in their toolkits. Nevertheless, these are my thoughts and experiences with the technique. It's a method of introducing a therapeutic focus, and when patient responses indicate a lack of willingness or ability to jointly explore the issue, I back off and wait for another opportunity to revisit the topic. The patient response that I'm referring to could involve excessive anxiety, signs of an enactment, or some exacerbation of treatment jeopardizing defensiveness taking place in the absence of trust and willingness to openly explore with the therapist. For example, I may point out that a patient is gaze avoidant, but fail to reach any kind of consensus on the meaning of this behavior. I may offer the interpretation that the patient appears conflicted around allowing emotional contact with me, but if the patient disagrees, I would risk an interpersonal conflict should I press the issue. Here, I may opt to circle the drain and look for future opportunities to address the gaze avoidance more productively. This technique is a way of grading the intensity of the treatment before the phase of pressure can begin in earnest. It's a way of titrating intensity before a strong conscious therapeutic alliance has been established. Circling the drain can be important when working with those with fragile character structures, but also certain non-fragile patients with a lot of ego-syntonic resistance, with teenagers, individuals early in recovery from substance use, and for those with various barriers to engagement. The patients I have in mind are the ones who do not readily respond well to directly pointing out defenses followed up with, "Could this be hurting you? Should we take a stand against it?" What feelings are coming up underneath this defense? Such an economical and efficient approach can work beautifully for some, but not everyone responds well to that pace and intensity. For example, I recall a patient I saw many years ago who resisted through intellectualizing, diversifying, storytelling, and gaze avoidance. The contextual data included stories of loss of impulse control and a pervasive and severe avoidance streak in the form of flight. The patient's language was full of references to leaving, and they had seen a good deal of therapists that they had walked away from. Combined with an absence of striated signals, I was not about to engage a high-intensity approach. This decision paid dividends over time. Over time, it became clear that there was a process of splitting or black and white thinking underneath all of the intellectualizations. My more hands-off approach also seemed to activate the unconscious therapeutic alliance as the patient began to spontaneously reveal more and more meaningful information and memories. We had tepid consensus on the patient's conflicts around closeness and how these connected to his presenting problems, but pushed too far on this, The patient would retreat from these agreements and cast doubt on them in a way that strained the alliance and appeared to signal that the patient was close to ending the treatment. This was not a situation where I could simply begin a session by saying things like, "So again, we see that you have a need to avoid me. Is that really what you want to do?" Such an intervention would likely have led to a misalliance. Instead, I used the circle the drain technique. I would give the patient latitude and space to share, even though there was a defensive component to those behaviors. Then I would remind him of a shared understanding from the previous session. Do you remember how we learned about how there was a part of you that doesn't like closeness, that prefers to avoid eye contact? The patient would remember. I would say, "That eye thing is happening today, too, where you are darting around with your eyes a lot. What do you think that means?" He would acknowledge this, but then withdraw. I would say, "I noticed that it's not clear how the part of you that doesn't like closeness and eye contact is feeling right now. How would you feel about checking in with the part of you that doesn't like what we are doing and doesn't believe in it?" In fits and starts, we were able to draw that part of the patient out, and gradually there could be some separation between the anger and the defensive withdrawal and taking flight. And over time, this way of working rendered the defenses more ego-dystonic. At regular intervals, I would see signs of too much anxiety. And consistent with the principle of regular graded work, I'd ease off and allow the patient to reconstitute their defenses again while I waited for another opportunity to lean in again in similar ways. Over time, the patient's defenses were restructured, capacity increased, and self-understanding and insight increased exponentially, while their life gradually got better. This is a patient who I don't think would have responded well to a more direct, traditionally graded approach, where attempts are made to reach affect tolerance thresholds and then backing off. Circling the drain titrates intensity in the arena before direct pressure to feelings and challenge of defenses is indicated. In conclusion, the circling the drain technique serves as an important tool for ISTDP therapists, particularly when working with patients who may not initially respond well to more direct approaches. By gently navigating around highly charged topics and easing off, therapists can gradually build a conscious therapeutic alliance with the patients who need this type of an approach. This method allows these patients to become more comfortable and engaged without feeling too overwhelmed, leading to deeper insights and more sustainable progress. My experiences have shown that this approach not only respects the patient's pace and readiness, but also fosters a stronger, more resilient therapeutic relationship. As therapists, recognizing and adapting to the individual needs of our patients through such techniques can significantly enhance the effectiveness of our interventions and ultimately the therapeutic outcomes. That will be all for today. Thank you for watching. Till next time, take care.